Hello, everyone. I am Claudiu Murgan, the host of the Spiritual Inspire podcast. And my guest today is Kevin Mbano. Kevin enlisted in the United States Navy in 1998 and retired in 2022. During that time, he experienced a traumatic awakening, leading him to travel the world seeking knowledge to become a spiritual healer and teacher. Throughout his 24-year military career, he established a foundation of spirituality by studying yoga, Kabbalah, energy healing, Tantra, metaphysics, and massage. You can find more about Kevin and his work at www.mindbodyspiritworker.com. Kevin, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
And to be honest, you are my first guest with military background, and it should be an interesting discussion. And I didn't want to reveal more of your spiritual experiences during the introduction because I didn't want to spoil the audience when we're gonna chat on these subjects. And in fact, I had to read your bio several times in order to decide what I should start with because it's so dense and so packed with teachings that it took me a while. But then I found something in common, and that is Kriya Yoga, because I am a Kribayan as well. And let's start with that. You read the autobiography of a yogi, and then something shifted in you. What exactly happened?
Yeah, so before that time, I was kind of confused as to exactly what to do with my life, and I was searching, but I didn't have really a clear guidance. I just didn't know what to do. I was picking at many different options, doing this, doing that, but then as I read the book, Autobiography of a Yogi, something happened. Like I found out many years later, but there's actually a process that happens when you read the book itself, at least for me. So it just sort of focused me, aligned all my efforts into one motivational drive. So instead of wandering now, I was just focused and purpose-driven on where to go. So after I read that book, I started studying all kinds of things. And then from there, I started practicing every day. At that point, I was in Singapore. I was stationed in on a small base there. And after I read the book, I flew and got initiated into Kriya Yoga. And it's such a powerful process. And that was the time I started my spiritual daily practice every day, every morning and every evening, doing Kriya, reading books. Part of the Kriya Yoga process is that they'll send you correspondence in the mail, and they just kind of follow those practices. And then if you have questions, you call them, but it's very it's self-paced, but it's such a fantastic course because I learned so much from just correspondence mail. You know, you wouldn't think that you can learn so much by someone sending you information every once a month or whatever, but the information was fantastic. I learned a lot. It really built a significant base of knowledge for me when it comes to spirituality. And that book itself, you know, it's like it opens your chakras up something, or like it aligns your chakras or something. Something definitely happened to me, at least just reading the book. And it's really the only other book, you know, apart from the Bible, that has done that for me. And because during that time I read a lot of books, and they were all very good. A lot of them were very good, but Autobiography of a Yogi, it was its own spiritual initiation. You know, the first initiation Kriya Yoga is reading the book itself. Then I went to actually get the Kriyas in California. You know, so that was fantastic.
Yes, may I ask you what year was that when you did your initiation?
10-ish, 2010, 2011.
Okay. Yeah, I did mine in 2017, so a lot longer after you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, they're also offshoots of SRF too. So some of his disciples would form other schools around the world. So I went and I was initiated with some of them too. There's a society called the Ananda Church of Self-Realization. I think they're based out of Nevada. I flew there and got Kriyas there also. And I was actually very fascinated in Kriya Yoga back then. Also, being in the military, it's obviously not something you see or do all the time. But for me, it was like a magnet. I was drawn to the spiritual teachings. I was drawn to Kriya Yoga, and I just loved the practice every day. And I really like how it made me feel on a daily basis. It really elevated who I was as a person. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep doing this. And I read as much as I could about Kriya Yoga, about Babaji, about Yogananda, his teacher, and whatever Kriya Yoga mentioned, whatever topic was in Kriya Yoga, I wanted to be part of that discussion, And I think that was when I really started getting the desire to go to India. I started at that point. I kind of made a pact that I was going to go to India eventually. I just didn't know when it was going to happen, but it did eventually, though.
Yeah, we'll get there as well.
Yeah,
so during your astral travel, have you met anyone on the Babaji's lineage?
Oh, during I mean, there is an organization called Babaji's Kriya Yoga. There were some classes that were in Australia, and I went there actually to take some classes. But as far as in a spiritual
real
like meditation,
yeah.
No, I haven't done that yet. I haven't met them yet.
I think we all aspire to meet someone at that level during our meditation sessions, and there is still time for each of us, for sure.
Yeah, I think for me, when it comes to meditation, I do get a lot of spiritual insights during my meditations, but they don't come as people like sitting down and talking to me. They come as just ideas, motivation, just thoughts that come in, that answers, really a lot of times just answers to things I've been worried about. So I mean, I've met someone, I just don't know who they are, but they keep giving me some good advice every once in a while, so I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, Kevin, I don't think there is anyone who spent time in the military without coming out with some form of PTSD or emotional trauma. If I may ask, what were your toughest deployments that you can link to your mental and emotional imbalance?
I think for me, just the environment itself was very, it was just very, it can be very challenging. There are situations where there's a lot of long hours, there's a lot of stress. I liken it to being in a pressure cooker. After a while, you have to leave, or you're gonna get like swallowed up. So there was probably no one incident, but around 2010 or so, or 9 and 10, I had gotten back from my first deployment to Iraq, and I started going through a severe case of adrenal fatigue. And if you know what that is at least for me, like my brain almost like shut off. Basically, it was hard for me to concentrate, to focus. I would wake up at night sweats all the time. I'd wake up 4 or 5 times a night. My energies were low. I was unfocused. There were so many things that were just going on that I just we couldn't manage. But I don't know what it was due to, though. I don't know if there was one incident that caused that. I just know it happened. And through that process, I started looking for answers. And that's when I started looking at yoga and Reiki and metaphysics, all kinds of things, just to heal myself from my adrenal fatigue. And I did go to some medical doctors, but I just didn't get the results that I wanted. So I had to really go out on my own and do a lot of searching, a lot of wandering, a lot of trial and error, actually. More error than I'd like to admit. But I did find some relief over the years. It's still there, but it's definitely not as bad as it was 12, 13 years ago.
Oh. Yeah, and I know wars are not something that we want in our lives or participate, or even they affect us even from afar. So for you, and I'm going to ask you a question with which can trigger some people. We know now we know that this war, especially the one in Iraq, was based on a lie. Did that affect you later on when you kind of comprehend what you went through and had no basis pretty much. And I know that being on spiritual path, we have to forgive our mistakes, other people's mistakes. So have you been through that process of forgiveness of those who put you in that situation pretty much?
I think when it comes to regrets and challenges in life, I think my path is just what it is. And I was put here to go through obstacles, war for me is an obstacle. My medical condition is an obstacle. Everything's just an obstacle for me to overcome. Yes, it's definitely unfortunate to be deceived, but it's also something that I have to and I did overcome eventually, and to move forward, because I really don't want to be. I'm not going to forget, but I just don't want to have those sort of regrets in my field, because it really holds me back. Regardless, whoever did something wrong to me, I don't necessarily have to agree with them, but I need to kind of let it go, or else it brings me down as a person. So I've been trying to sort of let go of a lot of different things, and that's one of them.
I'm glad to hear that. And other than, I mean, we're going to go through your spiritual experiences, but I know that a practical way of getting rid of PTSD or diminishing the effects of PTSD is the usage of psilocybin, which is right now being tested in various institutes. Have you tried that?
So when it comes to PTSD, what I'm doing is, so right now I'm seeing a therapist, a couple of therapists actually, using a process called EMDR and another one called somatic experiencing. That's my two current regular appointments that I'm doing right now. But I've also used ketamine. Ketamine has actually been proven to help with depression, stress, PTSD. So I've tried that. I tried it a few years ago, and I'm gonna try it again next few weeks. And I've also done psilocybin, because I think it's also very helpful too. And it was one of the things that actually got me to start talking about my past and who I am and what I'm trying to do. So I think all that helps. It's just doing it in a manner that's constructive and that moves me forward, and also not to rely on the medicine itself, because there can be tendency to just do the medicine and then stop. So medicine just kind of helps you to see things, and you have to move forward myself. So that's what I'm doing. I'm moving forward with my life.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And moving on to, let's say, more uplifting initiatives, how did you transition into modern mystery school? What exactly attracted you to it?
Yeah, so I mean, this was 2010 when all this happened, and I'm always looking for something, looking for answers, So in my early days, I would spend many hours a day just Google searching keywords, like healing, health, Reiki, whatever. And I think I was Googling mystic Christianity, and I'll go through, days of that, weeks even, and then I came up with, and the modern mystery school just popped up as a search result. I looked at it. I was so fascinated. I was like, this is amazing. I was in Rhode Island at that time, and luckily there was a center about 45 minutes away from me. But just going through the website itself was fascinating. It was very mystical. First of all, that's with like magic and traditions and like healing too, which is what I wanted also. So probably the next day I called one of the local representatives, and I talked to him over the phone for at least half hour or so, and then maybe a few days later I was at his office, and we started going through a process, a spiritual initiation process. It takes I go through several classes, a bunch of things you have to do, but eventually, within I'd say maybe a couple months of finding the modern mystery school, I was initiated. And so the modern mystery school is one of the 7 ancient mystery schools on earth. There's one headquartered in North America. There's one in Africa, Europe, all over the place, So I got initiated in that, and it's been a fantastic journey ever since. It's been about 11 years or so since I was initiated. 12 since I met this since I found the school, and I've been impressed ever since. And I'll keep going, and I'll keep taking classes with that organization.
And what is the foundational teaching of this school?
So the teachings of the Modern Mystery School date back to King Solomon of the Bible, you know. So during his time, he wanted to develop practices that he could share with the public, and these are some of the teachings that the Modern Mystery School holds today. Certain things as basic as, like, you know, healing, meditation, or just how to be in a higher vibrational state, you know, alchemy. There are things that are much more esoteric, much more like secret, but the basis is just healing and raising your vibration. And something that's very basic to everyone, really. I mean, it's not dogmatic. It's not a religious cult. It's something anyone can do, and something that's just fantastic and perfect for me. So I joined. As a matter of fact, last year I took a course for about a week or so in Canada, called Healers Academy. And yeah, it was great. And hopefully I'll be back again this year, doing something called Ritual Master, also part of the Modern Mystery School. But I think they have something for everyone. But if you just want to get healthy, or if you want to be focused in your life, if you want to be purpose-driven, I mean, who doesn't want that? You know, so I think it's something everyone can do.
Yes, and I think pretty much every single school tells us that we can do it ourselves. We don't need an external help. There are different modalities, of course, different approaches based on the school and the teachings, but the essence is the same. You can heal yourself if you put your mind into it. And if you have the desire and the energy and you know how to increase your vibration, you can do that. So it's interesting. And from there, you move into the Delphi University of Spiritual Studies. Was that in India?
No, so it wasn't actually. So from Rhode Island, I went to Japan for a little bit, and then from Japan I went to Delphi University. So Delphi University is in Georgia, United States. So it's a school of metaphysics and healing. So that was the first time in my life I went to like a headquarters of a school, and I was there for 1 month straight. And I had not done that before ever in my life, you know. So I just stood there. I was there for 1 month, just learning, practicing, reading, and just really immersing myself. But the Delphi University teaches just healing, basically healing, especially emotional healing, emotional therapy. It also teaches channeling, meditation. But it's mostly a school of healing using metaphysics. So I was there for about a month. This was around 2014. I learned so much there, and it was almost like the thirst that I had for such a long time was finally being addressed. It's finally being quenched. Oh, this is amazing. But instead of being quenched, I was like hungrier for more stuff. So, oh my God, this was, because it was just the beginning for me. I was like, this is all because it opens up a world for you, you know. So it's like there was so much I didn't know, you know. I was wondering for a long time. Now this is amazing. It was one of the best things I ever did, going to Delphi University, and it was definitely a long road to get there, but such a worthwhile endeavor. And I met some great people there and had some fantastic experiences.
Yeah, I mean, the knowledge is so vast. We cannot accumulate it all. And the best example I have all the time in my mind is, I think, one of the Indiana Jones movies, I think the Crystal Skull, when there was that German lady who wanted to accumulate the knowledge of the world. And she wanted that desperately. And in the end, the elders gave her the knowledge, but at the same time, she couldn't hold it. She disintegrated because the knowledge came to her so fast, so powerful. She just couldn't embrace and take that in in one moment. And she was evaporated, disintegrated because of the power of what she learned in one single moment. So we really have to take it in slowly, prepare ourselves. And I'm very aware that we still cannot accumulate everything in one lifetime. It's for many, many times to come.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, I think one of the things that people can do though to allow them to hold more information is to be much more emotionally stable, you know. So the more you clear out, more I clear out like past traumas and regrets and hurt, I'm able to actually hold more information, hold more light, hold more energy. That's why I think forgiveness is actually kind of a big deal, because it allows you just to release things. Once you release things, now I have room to put more stuff in there, like stuff about like learning, metaphysics, healing, you know. If I have all those things built up, it's hard for me to learn, it's hard for me to accumulate understanding.
yeah, and in the army, in my opinion, it's not necessary that you get traumatized because you have to kill other people, but because you don't have an identity anymore. You have to take orders. So if you use your rational mind and start debating or use common sense for each order you get, you're gonna either get crazy, you're gonna get against the rank and you're gonna be punished, or you're gonna bottle up all your rage inside, and in time that will build up into trauma. So either way, to me, there is no winning situation for the soldier.
Yeah, I think being in the military and trying to be spiritual can be very frictional, very confrontational, and it's almost like both of those institutions are like diametrically opposed to one another. It's hard to be both, but for me, the military allowed me to, first of all, it challenged me a lot in ways I just wouldn't have been challenged had I not been in the military. Plus allowed me to travel and go to all these different places. And every time I traveled, I confronted a different problem, and I always used spirituality to get myself out. And in that process, I learned something else, something I wouldn't have learned had I been somewhere else. So even just moving from like one duty station to the other, something will come up, some new challenge, some new way of seeing things. It doesn't even have to be a challenge. It can be something that's different, which opens up some parts of me, you know. So in many ways, the military hinders spiritual progress, but for me, it actually boosted it significantly, because had I not been in the military, I probably would have stayed in one city my entire life. Maybe moved one other place, and that's how I probably wouldn't have traveled that much. I probably wouldn't have gone around to different countries. It just wouldn't have happened for me. But just being in the military allowed me those options. Also allowed me to be tested, to be challenged in ways that I wouldn't be challenged. You know, if I wasn't military, I can just pick a job that I liked, that I was comfortable in, have my routine, and that's it. You know, but
Yes.
the military, you do what they want to do when they want you to do it. So you're forced to adapt. And it's that adaptation that allowed me to grow, allows anyone to grow really in many different ways. So that's I'm actually grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, that was the contract of your soul before arriving in this existence. So you had to go through it. And in fact, yes, one of my questions supposed to be, how did you dealt with a strict army regimen? And you kind of answer that, but it was easier for you to do that and go through the military exercises and routine, knowing that the body is just an avatar, and on the background you can still do your spiritual practice.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had, well, not always, but probably halfway through my military career, I realized that I'm more than just the body. The very first, 10, 12 years, I didn't really quite know that. But towards the later half, I figured that out, and actually made things a bit easier, because I knew that there was more to life than what I was doing. Plus, I knew I was just going through a process that was set before me long before I incarnated anyway. So I didn't feel, I could be more detached with my actions, you know. It's sort of like in the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna was wondering, he didn't want to go up against his kinfolk, but Krishna explained to him, hey, actually, you are not who you think you are, so try and be as detached as possible. So that's what I kind of did. I tried to be detached. I was never 100% towards the military, because I always knew there was always I kept some distance between me and being fully immersed in the military experience.
Yeah, and I can tell you that the Bhagavad Gita changed my life and my perception to life as well. I read autobiography, but then I read Bhagavad Gita, and then I read the Second Coming of Christ. So this was my sequence of reading these books, and it was a big awakening for me, reading that conversation with Arjuna. So I don't know how it was for you, if it was that profound, but for me, I can tell you that pretty much within days, I changed my way I was living in terms of what I was eating, what I was thinking, and how I was doing things around the house, around the family.
Yeah. For me, around the time I read Autobiography of a Yogi, I read other books too that kind of put a few pieces together slowly by slowly. So by the time I read the Bhagavad Gita, I had already a good foundation. So I knew a lot of that stuff anyway, So I read a lot of like Blavatsky or Leadbeater or Alice Bailey. I read a lot of them, a lot of their books, Swami Rama, or Aurobindo, whatever I could read. And a lot of them put a lot of these teachings out in small bites. And I got this information. While the Bhagavad Gita, has all those things in very one concentrated volume of work, but my path was just a little slower, just in general. So
yes, and you moved forward on your learning path and transitioned to Kashmir Shavism, if I pronounce it correctly. What was new about these teachings?
Well, I think every time I study something, it's always a little bit different, So Kashmir Shaivism is really a method of enlightenment, but it's purely just a method of enlightenment, and it uses meditations and different techniques. It's not really popular actually as far as a method of spiritual development, but it's very powerful. And I took this course with the Somananda Tantra school, and it's fantastic. It's very different than many of the things I've ever taken. That's so it's just very advanced. It's a very advanced method of development. I can't really say too much more about it because it's not really meant to be discussed that much. But if you really want a powerful method of advancement spiritually, that's one of the best I've ever actually taken in my life.
And these teachings can be taken online or have to be face to face, and it's in US or somewhere else?
So you can take these online or in person. There are places that teach it. Just search. But both options are available for whoever wants to embark on that path.
And what other teachings you tap into and you're impressed with and added to your tools of healing and teaching methods?
The foundational practice that I do every day is Kabbalah. So for me, Kabbalah is probably the single most important spiritual, maybe second single most important spiritual teaching of my life. So my life before the Kabbalah and since radically different. So before Kabbalah, I was still, my life was very chaotic. I was more focused than I was before I read the Autobiography of Yogi. I focused my life a bit more, but Kabbalah really just streamlined my entire existence, and it's something I do every day. But what it does, at least for me, it just I'm able just to tap into just the general collective and just focus my efforts. Things just go much more smoothly for me. I'm in my meditation, I get a lot of good ideas. I'm calmer, that's for sure. My vibration's higher. I'm not as stressed out. It's something I have to do, something I want to do every day. There was a point where I did I stopped taking Kabbalah or stopped practicing for a couple months, and I felt a significant vibrational shift around me. Like things just didn't go smoothly, and I was really, I became very frustrated, and so I started practicing again, and again everything is shifted when you start practicing. But Kabbalah, one of the greatest things I've ever taken. It really aligns me or the person to their purpose in life. So if you're supposed to be writing a book, you can write that book. If you're supposed to be quitting that job and doing something else, that's what's going to happen to you. But your life gets realigned to its true purpose, and there are very few things that can do that. And I'm very grateful that I found Kabbalah.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that you right now practice certain teachings, because as Yogananda used to say, the spiritual seeker is like a butterfly, goes from flower to flower trying to look for that nectar of knowledge. And I am, guilty of the same practice, because I have an open mind and I want to know as much as possible. But at one point on our spiritual path, we have to stop and absorb one teaching only and go as deep as possible and see what the benefits are, especially if we resonate with those teachings from the beginning. So I'm glad that you found your own path, and you're gonna keep going deeper.
Yeah, I think it's natural though for people who are seeking just to move around a lot, because in the very beginning, there's no guide, there's no school that has all the answers for you. So you have to search, you have to wander from pedal to pedal, figuring things out. And but yeah, eventually I kind of settled with Kabbalah, but I'm always looking for things out there that will help me move faster or more or easier, or just make my life better, so I'm still always looking. I think I take a class at least once a year, maybe twice a year, on something outside of my current practice, just to expand my vision, expand what I think is possible out there. Because every schools have some information, and lots of schools have information on many different things. And every time I go to a different school, I learn something that I didn't know before, or I'm able to adapt my current practice to something with what I learned. So it's always good to keep learning, I think, and not settling, in my opinion.
Yes, my list of books is 600 books, PDF and print, and I think I need 3 or 4 lives to go through all of them, and they're all good books. So I have to make very hard decisions. What exactly, which one I'm going to pick next. So yes.
Yeah, I know for me in the very beginning, I read so many books on everything. But I realized at a certain point, the reading has to decrease and the doing has to increase. So instead of reading 3 hours a day, I'm practicing like an hour and a half, or 3 hours a day. I try to do more action than reading. Before it was the exact opposite. I'll spend all day on the computer searching, reading all kinds of books, but now it's more just the doing, just the practicing, it's the forgiving people, it's going through emotional therapy, it's doing some channeling, some meditation. The actual act of raising the vibration actually takes physical, mental effort outside of reading. So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I mean, without doing, we are not going to advance on the spiritual path in any way. We're going to just know some stuff. We're going to have some knowledge. We can have an interesting discussion or intelligent discussion with someone else. But when it comes to experiencing and sharing that experience with others, it comes only from doing that. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now after seeing and experiencing both sides of the coin, the devastating effects of war and the peaceful mind contemplation of different realms, do you consider yourself a potential agent of peace?
Yeah, I definitely think that. I think I read a quote once that said, the best gift you can give the world is the gift of your own transformation. And that's what I want to do, raise myself to such a high vibration that affects everyone else around me. And and just my interactions itself can help change people. So one of the things I'm doing right now is actually teaching people how to raise their vibration, teaching people massage, being just a conduit for just spiritual information, understanding, knowledge, and just kind of a guide for people who maybe don't have all the answers. In the very beginning, you're not going to have all the answers. And even people can be in their midlife and not know all the answers. And I kind of want to be that person that helps people along, and not doing any work for them specifically, but just giving them advice here and there, and to help them move forward.
And have you reached out to your army brothers to show them your transformation and bring them over to the spiritual side?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm part of a few veterans groups, and we do associate on a regular basis, and yeah, and we share information, and we share where we are, where we're going, what we're doing, and yeah. And I think the more people that I've come in contact with from the military, a lot of them are open to this kind of work. They're open to the idea of just moving forward with their life, raising vibration, being healthier. I mean, who doesn't want to do all those things? Being military, not military. It's just, I think it's a natural method of human progression.
Yes, that's wonderful. I hope more of them will see the benefits of meditation and being on a spiritual trajectory, because it will be good for themselves and for their families, because I'm sure some of them are married, they have kids, and the way they behave around the family influences everyone. So that will be very beneficial for them.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. I have to read a quote from your bio, which is posted on your website. In my last year of military service, I started to explore the workings of the body to complement my knowledge of energy and to recover from the catastrophic effects of the COVID vaccine. If I may ask, how did the effects manifest for you? And were you in danger of losing any benefits by just walking away?
So when I took the second dose of the vaccine, I think that day and the following day, I could barely move. I was in bed the following day, essentially the entire day, and every day after I got a little bit better, but my energy level was significantly less. I couldn't fall asleep to save my life. So I had to take Benadryl every day. So first of all, Benadryl is very bad for you to take on a regular basis. I was taking 2 tabs of Benadryl every day just to fall asleep. And I was taking a lot of other pills just to get my body to function properly. But those are the 2 big effects. And I was always stressed out. It's like I was hyper vigilant. I could never relax. And that has added a lot more stress to myself than I really wanted to experience. Plus, when I would wake up in the morning, I was very tired all the time, and I really couldn't run. Like I had trouble absorbing food, so I was hungry all the time. If I eat something, I'd be hungry like an hour later. So. And I'm sure there are other things that have affected that I just don't know right now. But those are the things that stick out right now. And so I was about 8 months from retirement when I didn't have to take. I did not have to take the vaccine. Okay, I did not have to. It's either that or lose my retirement. So I took the shot. So
that's blackmail to me, but it happened to people outside the military service. So
yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I am getting better though. But right now I'm retired, but I spend a lot of time going to medical appointments, and not doctors per se, but just like therapists, holistic practitioners, just driving all over the city. I went to Hawaii earlier this year for a detox. I'm doing all kinds of things on a daily basis just to rid myself of the effects of the vaccine. So it's really it's really brought my life down significantly. But in many ways, again, it gave me another challenge, that I would not have been able to, that I wouldn't have faced. If I was a civilian, I would not have taken the vaccine, period. I wouldn't have done it. I'd moved to a different state, different country. I wouldn't have taken it. But after I took the vaccine, though, it forced me to look in other directions, So in my previous studies, I had studied the mind and the spirit information, right? I'd never studied the body. The body was something I'd never, ever studied. And the COVID vaccine made me explore those options, So we're all mind, body, and spirit, right? I didn't really realize that until I took the COVID vaccine. Actually, where's this body part? Where's the body, So I started researching massage school or body work. So I went to Spain for about a month. There's an organization they call the Alchemy of Touch Academy. I took their body work. Their body work is like it's a combination of 20 different massage modalities, all rolled into one. So there was a man named Osho who lived a few decades ago, and he developed something called rebalancing. It's a method of massage and body work, and the people at Alchemy of Touch, they consolidated this information. They taught, and that's what I learned, and it was fantastic. It's just basically almost like the best out of all these different massage modalities rolled into one technique. And as I spent about a month in Spain learning that, and I was intrigued again of just what it could offer. So after that, I went to Indonesia and I studied Tantra massage. There's a lady there, Ma Anand Sarita. She teaches massage, and I spent about a month there. I studied Tantra massage and the many beneficial aspects of it. And it is very beneficial, actually. It's really a method just to essentially it aligns your body. It aligns your mind, body, and spirit all into one vibrational state, And when I took that course, I could see the transformation just in 1 month. And people who were very grumpy and just tired, they came out beaming with excitement. It's whoa, this is amazing. And, it's hard to see that in real life, in anything you do, it's hard to see someone go, it's hard to see that. And, after a month, I saw it. I was like, wow, it's almost like magic, So again, I just kept on exploring because I was impressed every single time I took a class. So then I went to the Czech Republic. There's a course called Tantric de-armoring, also a bodywork technique, but uses pressure points in different parts of the body. And so that was only 9 days, but during the second half of the course, it's like my nervous system almost reset itself. And instead of being stressed out all the time, I was stressed out most of the time, but not all the time, So I felt a significant shift. And instead of taking Benadryl every day, I just took melatonin to go to sleep. And I got to the point where I don't need to take anything anymore, It reset myself. I was amazed that the work was so simple too. And again, I kept on continuing because I thought it's a great modality, Anything with the body, I think I just love. So I went to Estonia earlier this year, and I took a Tantra massage teacher course. Again, also a very, very beneficial practice, and I've been using that ever since. But yes, this whole mind, body, spirit, I didn't know that until I took the COVID vaccine. And that opened up my mind. It forced me really to explore, and I did, and I love the results.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing all this knowledge. And it's another proof that if we are willing to put our energy and focus onto something which benefits our life, and in fact, if these courses will be available to everyone and will be promoted on the media, let's say, we will realize sooner rather than later that we can heal ourselves. We don't need the drugs. Yes, we need a surgeon to do a brain surgery on us if it's a very complicated case, and we need someone maybe to put our broken bones together. But other than that, it's all energy. And it's the crap we eat every single day. And these companies, the food companies, are dumping onto us. And because some people don't have money to buy quality food, they have to buy the crap. That means they will get sick. They have to go through the not a healing process, because they are not going to be healed by eating the same things every single day, but they are part of a cycle, never-ending cycle of trying to get out of it, and they will never, because again, there is a lack of funding, lack of proper food, and so on and so forth. So you and few others are lucky to come out of this cycle and understand how you can heal yourself and heal others through energy.
Yeah, I think taking care of yourself is such an important aspect of just life in general, especially being on a spiritual path. And I noticed that the better my food is, the higher my vibration is. It goes hand in hand. So every time I come up through like I've always been worried about my diet. I've always been like focused on my diet because it's such an important aspect of myself. And later on in life, even right now, I'm always tweaking my diet just to make sure it's at its best state, because everything I do to my body affects my mind and my spirit. There's always a correlation between all three, and it's important for me to realize that. So whatever I do put in my body affects everything, especially the stomach. People know now the stomach is the second brain. What you do to your stomach affects the rest of your body. So I'm always worried about. I'm always careful what I put in my body. I make sure it's of the highest quality as much as possible, and not put as you said, crap in my body on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for the people who eat meat, and the governments right now are pushing against regular meat, cows and pigs and things like this to be grown anymore. Because I honestly, I don't care, because I don't eat meat anymore. So for me, it's easy to move forward, but for other people, it's a hard decision to eliminate either completely meat out of their diet or diminish that quantity, even if it's in their benefit for their health.
Yeah, I think for me, meat has always been kind of a detriment in many ways. I used to run quite a bit on a treadmill and out in the street, and I noticed if I ate meat the previous day, I was always slower on the treadmill. So I started cutting out meat. I ate less and less meat, and it came to a point where I can go at least 6 months without eating meat. However, though, if I don't eat meat, my iron levels always are kind of low. So every once in a while, I do eat meat, but it's not on a regular basis. It's definitely not every day. It's not even every week. I do eat meat every once in a while just to keep up my health, because there are people who do need meat on a regular basis. I know people who, if they don't eat meat, the body just withers away, and I just don't want that to happen to me.
Yes, Kevin, what's your perception of God?
My perception of God is, so for a long time I didn't have a strong religious belief. I don't really believe much. I grew up Catholic. I was an altar boy for about like 5 years. I left the church for a long time, and only in the past maybe 5 years did I come back to just reading the Bible. And everything is explained in the Bible, what God is and what God isn't. So while beforehand it was kind of a nebulous, definition, who is God, what is God, but God is everything. God created who we are, and God is like our spiritual father, and we're his children, and we need to do what our father says. So God created everything on earth, and God put us here to learn and to grow, and we're all going to go back to God eventually.
And do you have a special relationship with Yeshua, Jesus Christ?
I pray every day, and I pray to God and his son, Jesus Christ. I believe that Jesus is a guidepost for all of us, the son of, the creator. And yeah, I think he and I have a good relationship.
Thank you. How are your Kirtan skills?
My Kirtan, not very good, not very good. So here's something I learned. So the Bhagavad Gita, that means the song. So actually, when the Bhagavad Gita tells people about how to reach, higher states of enlightenment, and talk about like different types of yoga, the postures, the meditation. But actually, it's the kirtan, the bhakti yoga. That's the fastest way, you know. So I just recently got into kirtan. I think this year, that's been fantastic. Just the saying of like the Maha Mantra has been so powerful. Like rarely do I shed tears, you know, but man, just saying that or singing it and feeling it, like tears come out of my eyes all the time. Such a powerful meditation there. And I try to go to kirtan at least once a week. I go to kirtan. I try to, you know. I like the group setting, and and I practice my own sometimes. But it's been fantastic. Great group of people I've always met in my kirtans.
Nice. I might have to start that sometime in the future.
Yeah.
These days I'm quite busy, but I would like to have a musical side to my personality. I don't have a voice, so it has to be an instrument. That's sure for sure. Kevin, what I mentioned about your website at the beginning, what are the services you are offering and how can you help others improve their being and step on their spiritual path?
Yeah, so I think thank you for the question. And one of the things I think a lot of people want now are answers, focus, and direction. So one of the basic services I offer that can kind of give that to a lot of people is called the life activation. It's something I learned from the Modern Mystery School. And what it does, it aligns you to, gets you more focused on what you're supposed to be doing. So for many people, what they've been procrastinating on kind of comes to the surface, and they get like the motivation to do it. You know, it pushes you forward on your life, and also heals you too, heals your aura and everything. But that's really what the life activation is. It's supposed to charge you up and move you forward in life. That's like a very, very cut and dry process, but it's so powerful, so effective, and lasts forever. And you'll see people who go through a life activation, like they start manifesting their reality, manifesting their dreams. But really what it's doing is giving you the purpose behind your thoughts. You know, people have all these ideas in their head of what they want to do. But life activation gives you that engine that forces you to go and do that thing. Another service I offer is called Yandi's Inner Light. It's inner child healing. So for many people, they were hurt as a child. Even myself, I had some issues as a child that affected me as an adult. And what this does, it goes in and addresses those issues, gives it space, attention, presence, and heals that aspect of the inner child. So therefore, the adult self starts opening up, starts maturing, starts developing. Many people are actually in a stage of arrested development because the inner child was hurt, was damaged. So it stays. Some parts of people are just stuck as a 4 or 5 as a child. And with the inner child, allows you to mature into that adult self, allows you to open up, feeling, experiences, happiness. There's a lot that just healing inner child can do in general. And then, of course, the body sense, the body aspect of the work. So I've been to a few massage schools, and I do offer that as a service. Really, massage can do a lot. So because many people are just very tense, men, women. If you work a lot or like on the computer all the time, that hunched body that people exhibit, that traps energy, traps flow of life. With massage, you can really open all that up and to help that person just be more alive. It's amazing what like a regular massage practice can do to somebody, and what not having one can do to someone too.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. In the last 2-3 years, a lot of people are saying, and maybe you heard it too, that what we are going through is a spiritual war between good and evil. What's your perception of this transition, of this period?
We're put here to learn, and challenges are here for us to grow from. You know, I think the world definitely is in a massive transitional phase. but we will all come out at the end of it better than we were, you know. Like I said earlier, we're all gonna go to God eventually. We're all gonna be meeting the same place. Like religion and spirituality, in that sense, all agree. We're all going back to the Creator. So we're all gonna be there, you know.
Yes.
People who have died, we're all gonna meet each other eventually. So regardless of what's going on, it's for us to learn from, prepare, but eventually know we're all going back to Source, to God, our Father.
Thank you. Kevin, we are approaching the end of the interview. Any final thoughts?
Thank you for this interview. And I just kind of want to encourage people just to maybe get out of their comfort zone a little bit and do the inner work and be the light for others to see. That's all.
Thank you very much. Once again, thank you for your service and for the fact that you switched completely to a much better path, a much peaceful path. And you are an example for not only us regular people, but for your brothers and sisters from the army. And I really, really hope that some of them will turn towards you and your new gain wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And to my viewers, thank you for watching. Like it, share it. Download a free copy of my book when you visit my website. And until next time, love and gratitude.